Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of The Extra Point. I'm Caitlin Mondoni. Joining me tonight is Anderson and Gabby, and you at home. Coming up on the show today, we will be discussing some NBA, getting into some MLB spring rankings, talk about the standings in college basketball, and talk about your very own Clemson men basketball game and their loss against Notre Dame last night. But before we get started, I would like to take the time to remember a legendary basketball coach that passed away this weekend. Dean Smith, the coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels, passed away at the age of 83. Smith was a legendary coach, coaching some of the best in the league, including Michael Jordan and James Worthy. Smith had won 2 national champions, and the Tar Heels was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. He was loved by many and will always be remembered, a legend in the game of basketball. Now let's get started with the NBA. So recently we have seen some pretty big things happening in the NBA. We saw James Harden's 40-point performance against the Suns that has people wondering if he's the MVP. Wade is not playing in the All-Star game, and Korver is replacing him. Everyone knows how good LeBron is, but Anthony Davis is having a historic year in only his 3rd season in the NBA. So the question is, would you rather have LeBron James for 7 years or Anthony Davis for 14? The Atlantic Hawks remain at the top of the NBA. Their red-hot spot season has cooled off yet as they defeated the Timberwolves 117-105. The Hawks were coming off of a win against the Golden State Warriors, who is the number 2 team in the power rankings. Guys, let's take your look on these topics.
Well, we can start off with the MVP, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's cool.
When I think of the MVP this year, I really think of 3 main guys, plus obviously LeBron, best player in the league. Right. So when I really go down through the stats, I'll start off with LeBron. The Cavaliers right now, 32-31, 32-21, sorry about that, but they're absolutely trouncing the Miami Heat right now. So they should be 33-21 by the end of the night. LeBron's efficiency rating is 26 right now, which is, and the league average is 15. So he's having another great year. But his usage percentage is 32.2%. So every time down the court, when he touches the ball and it ends in a shot, assist, something like that, that's what gets calculated in the usage. So he's using it. The usage is 32.2% for him, which is higher than normal players. You'll see normal players get around 20 to 25%. So if you look at Harden, all right, just going off the stats that I just did for LeBron, his team is 36-16. All right, his efficiency is 27.8, which is a little bit better than LeBron, and his usage is 31.4%, which is just below LeBron's, which means he is more efficient and he doesn't have to have the ball as long. All right, now you look at Steph Curry. All right, same thing again. His team, 41-9. His usage, gosh, I can't even say that word right now. Usage is 28.7%, and his efficiency is 27.4%. So the efficiency is very similar to James Harden, but his usage, I said it right that time, is 3% less than James Harden.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of talk about LeBron and Curry kind of going head-to-head as far as the best player in the NBA. I mean, do you think LeBron is better than Curry?
LeBron, I mean, if you look at the 2 guys I just mentioned, Harden and Curry, they've been in the league for, Curry's been in the league for, this is 4th year, Harden is in his 5th, LeBron's in his 13th season, sorry about that, 13th season right now. So, I mean, it's really hard to say who is the better NBA player right now because LeBron has the experience, he has all that stuff, and everybody wants to play with LeBron. So that's a really tough question, and a lot of people are asking that, like, who is the best NBA player right now? And we'll find out. Kevin Durant won MVP last year, so obviously he was the most valuable player last year. He was the best player in the league last year. I mean, I honestly, going down the list, I mean, even Anthony Davis can have a say in this. I don't know. I can't choose an MVP right now. Obviously, halfway through the season, just over halfway through the season, still got a lot of basketball to play. But I think my take right now, I got to give it to Curry. The team is 41-9. Mm-hmm. He's averaging 25.6 points a game, 8.5 assists. He's extremely efficient and his team's winning. The only reason why I'm not giving it to Davis and Harden is because Anthony Davis' team is only 27-25. All right, they're I think 2 games back of even postseason spot.
Right.
And James Harden uses the ball too much. If you take Curry off of the Golden State Warriors, some could say like Klay Thompson could take over and handle the team, but I don't think so. I think Curry really means so much to that team being the point guard and the NBA being a point guard dominant league. Curry does a great job, and I think that's why I'd have to give him the MVP right now. But like I said, there's a lot of basketball to be played, so I really can't.
Well, my thing is, like, we saw Harden play against the Phoenix Suns, and he had 40 points against the Suns, and he also had 9 assists. That's pretty impressive to me. I mean, that's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Harden is having a great year. He had an absolutely amazing night last night. It was extremely fun to watch. Like you said, 40 points, 9 assists, and he also had 12 rebounds to go on top of all that.
Right.
So that's just crazy. I mean, the numbers he's putting up this year is crazy, but Curry is too. And if you want to hear something even crazier, Anthony Davis, who kind of gets overshadowed by these guys, 1, because his team isn't very good, and 2, because he plays in New Orleans, which isn't a basketball town. But his efficiency rating is 31.7. Anthony Davis's is 31.7. And if the season ended today, that would put him 3rd all-time efficient, behind Wilt Chamberlain's 2 best season, and then he's going to be tied with Michael Jordan's best season. Michael Jordan's best season, okay? And then he's in front of LeBron James' best season, efficiency-wise, not points per game or anything like that.
It's pretty impressive, though.
That's extremely impressive. I mean, Anthony Davis is 31.7 efficiency rating, as I just mentioned, and his usage is 27%. Lower, he's got the lowest of all the other 3 guys that I mentioned, and his efficiency is the highest. He's scoring 24.5 points per game. He has 10.3 rebounds. I mean, the guy can do it all with 2.7 blocks, almost 3 blocks a game. Anthony Davis would be my MVP if he was on a better team.
Okay.
But that's the only reason why he's keeping off. He's definitely having a historic season, though.
So we're talking about the NBA. Let's talk about some teams. Right now we have the Atlanta Hawks doing really well. They lost to the Pelicans and then they lost to the Grizzlies recently, but then they went and beat the number 2 team in the power rankings right now, the Warriors. What do you think about the Atlanta Hawks right now, and who do you think can actually come out and maybe beat them besides the Pelicans and the Grizzlies?
Well, I've been saying this for a while. I don't think the Hawks, I said this in December, I don't think the Hawks can continue what they're doing. What they're doing is ridiculous right now. How efficient they are. I mean, the highest scorer, the leading scorer on that team, I think is, I want to say Jeff Teague or
Horford.
Horford is with, 16 or 17 points a game. I mean, that just shows you how spread out the scoring is. All 5 starters are in the double digits. I mean, and all of them have efficiency ratings above league average. League average is 15. So I mean, it's crazy. So that makes me think like they can sustain that because of how much or how the dynamic. Thank you. The dynamic that their team is. That's the only reason why I think they can sustain it. But they just don't have the experience in my mind like LeBron has experience, like Paul Pierce has experience for the Wizards. They haven't been there yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do the last half of their season. I mean, they have four of their 5 starters are going to be in the All-Star game. They're All-Stars. So, the Hawks definitely are a great team. I just don't know if they can keep it up.
Well, I went to a Hawks game last year, and watching them play, I mean, they beat the Knicks when I saw them, but watching them play, I never imagined they would be where they're at right now. And I don't think a lot of people have imagined them with this huge winning streak they've been on. We have Harper, we have Millsap, we have Teague. They're all working together to be this dynamic team right now. They're going in, winning games, and losing to like a few teams. But I'm like you. I don't think they have that experience quite yet to get them.
Yeah, I rewind to last year's playoffs. You know, they had a little playoff run. I think they made it to the second round, and then they lost in the second round. And it was shocking to me that they even made it that far. And when I came down here, I was really excited because the Cavaliers play 2 games down in Atlanta, and I'm a huge Cavaliers fan. So I was coming down here, I was very excited to watch the Cavaliers play in Atlanta, not even really considering who they're playing just because it's the Cavs. Now I'm excited to see the Cavaliers play Atlanta because it's Atlanta and how well they're doing this year. I mean, this could be a potential Eastern Conference matchup here if the Cavaliers somehow get the 2 seed, and the Hawks are going to get the 1 seed no matter what, I think, because no way they tank that.
I remember going to the Hawks game. Somebody's like, "Yeah, we're going to." I was like, oh, "The Hawks game? Like, really? Come on."
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh my God! Like, I want to go to the Hawks game. Like,
they're fun to watch.
It's just crazy how much they've really improved this year.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see it coming, and I don't think if you rewind last year to after the NBA playoffs and going in the summer, I don't think you would see anybody saying the Hawks are going to be number 1 at the All-Star break next year. So it's definitely crazy how well they're doing. That's for sure.
Caitlin?
Well, it's almost baseball season, and there has been some discussing about the preseason ranking in the NBL. We also saw recently that A-Rod has made his apology to the Yankees about using performance-enhancing drugs and is ready to make his comeback this year with the Yankees. So let's talk about the MLB this year.
So I looked at some power rankings today. I saw they had like the Angels at number 1. What do you think about that?
The Angels are a great team. Great team. Mike Trout is one of the best players in the MLB. He's not coming off a really great year. I mean, he did win the MVP year for the American League last year, but his numbers weren't as crazy as what I think they can be, which is saying something about Mike Trout. He's a great player, plays both sides of the ball extremely well, defensively, offensively. I mean, he is a once-in-a-lifetime talent, and he's going to be really fun to watch this year. I don't think the Angels will be able to come out on top strictly because of, just a couple things. One, Mike Trout is really who they only have. Albert Pujols, who was a huge name 5 years ago, is kind of irrelevant now.
Right.
He's a great player, and I loved watching him for the Cardinals in the beginning of the Angels when he was on there. But he's just not good anymore. He gets injured all the time. He can't play full season. And baseball is a long season, 162 games, long season. And if Pujols can only play half of that, I just don't see them doing much. Their pitching staff is shaky at best. I mean, Jared Weaver is going to be their best pitcher this year, and he doesn't impress me anymore. Like I said, 5 years ago, he's very relevant, but now, not so much. The team that I like the most is the Dodgers. Okay, I mean, they're in the NL and everything, so they only play the Angels during the interleague series, but the Dodgers are crazy. I thought they were going to win it all last year. Every year, it seems like the Dodgers are going to win it all for the past 5 years, and they haven't. But I honestly think this is the Dodgers' year. I mean, Kershaw won Cy Young and had an absolutely historical year last year. He's crazy. I mean, he's going to be one of the best pitchers of all time when it's all said and done, as long as he can stay healthy. He's dominant. People can't touch him. But not only that, you got Yasiel Puig, the Cuban phenom, who's been in the news all the time because of his antics on and off the field. You got because they got rid of Matt Kemp to the Padres, that gives room to Jack Pederson, one of their top minor leaguers, and he's going to have a great year, I think. He's a huge, highly ranked prospect, and I think he's going to explode this year. And Julio Urias, 18-year-old pitcher from Mexico, they signed Urias when he was 16 years old. So that tells you a little bit about how good this guy is. And so I think that the Dodgers are really poised to be good. But in the American League, I'll just finish off in the American League. The Indians, I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Cleveland guy, so this is a little biased, but we acquired Brandon Moss this offseason, which is really the only...
I think we got a caller.
Oh, we have a caller?
Yeah, we have a caller.
All right, well, I'll hold that thought. I really want to talk about my Indians.
Yeah.
Please hang up and try again.
All right, never mind the hang up. They wanted to hear
Call
me talk about the
back.
Indians.
We want to hear what you have to say.
They want to hear me talk about the Indians. No. All right, well, in the meantime, I'll finish what I'm saying about the Indians. Oh, never mind, I hear the call.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Hi, I'm just calling in. I've been watching the show,
Okay.
and I just have one thing about the NBA comment.
Okay.
The Hawks lost in the first round last year to the Pacers.
Right.
And so I'm just correcting that. And then the Indians, I don't know how they'll do this year. I mean, their pitching really isn't that great. And then I don't know. I mean, they have Michael Brantley, but he's really their only power threat in the lineup, and I just don't see them stacking up against the Tigers and the rest of the teams in the AL Central. I'd like to see what you got to say. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thanks for your call. Thank you for clarifying me. I honestly thought they went to the second round, but you're right. They did go to the first. They got knocked out in the first round by the Pacers. But the Indians, the only reason why I think the Indians are going to be a contender this year is, one, Michael Brantley, like you said, is amazing. He was third in the MVP race. But not only that, you made a great point about their pitching is very shaky, and I agree 100%. But Corey Kluber, Cy Young, I think he's going to have. I don't think he'll have as good of a year, but I think he's going to have a great year again. Then you got Danny Salazar, who's been a high prospect for the Tribe for a couple of years now. He's coming along. Trevor Bauer's coming along. Carlos Carrasco really came along when they put him in the rotation last year, and he was dominant towards the end of the year. So honestly, I think the rotation will be okay with what we have. Our bullpen's going to be pretty good. Cody Allen is one of the best closers in the game last year, and I think he's going to have another good year. I think he's only going to improve this year. But then the one thing that worries me about the Indians is their defense. I mean, last year they had negative 37 defensive runs saved last year. So that's the thing that worries me, along with the rotation about the Indians. But I think getting rid of Asdrubal Cabrera and getting Jose Ramirez at shortstop, putting him in there, I think that's going to be huge. And hopefully Francisco Lindor, our highest ranked prospect, can come along. And he's a huge defensive guy. So that's going to really help. But you're 100% right. Michael Brantley was our only guy last year. Santana batted, I think, 230, something like that. But look for Santana to have a great year. Okay, he won't start off batting in the 150s for the first half of the season like he did last year. Jason Kipnis is going to be back. Yan Gomes is going to be just as good as he was last year. I'm telling you, the Indians are going to be a team to reckon with, hopefully. I mean, personally, I think they will be. And just looking at who they have, I think they're going to have a great year. But also the Red Sox can't be argued. You can't argue with the Red Sox. They made some moves this offseason, getting the Panda, Pablo Sandoval, and then also getting Hanley Ramirez. The Red Sox are going to be good. I think Pablo's going to slide there right into third base, which has been manned by Will Middlebrooks for the past couple of years, off and on injury and everything. And he started off looking like he was going to be a good prospect, and he started out well for the Red Sox, but he just hasn't come along. So now he's with the Padres, but Pablo's gonna be dominant for the Red Sox. Hanley's gonna be dominant in left field. I think they have him slotted in. Red Sox are gonna have a good team. The thing that worries me about the Red Sox is the same thing that the caller just mentioned about the Indians, is their rotation. They don't have John Lester anymore. Okay,
right.
He's gone. Their best pitcher, Drew. I really can't tell you. Rick Porcello, I think might be their best player or best pitcher. He's been consistent with the Tigers, but I don't know. I mean, that's the one thing that worries me the most is the pitching with Red Sox.
So are you kind of anxious to see what the Yankees have in store now that A-Rod might be back?
Yankees are always going to be in the news and everything, and especially with A-Rod. I don't think A-Rod is going to play.
Big of a,
they got,
really?
Yeah, I honestly think that. They got Chase Headley, who's going to be at third base. There isn't a spot for A-Rod anymore. A-Rod, like Albert Pujols, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when he was on his PEDs, he was amazing. A-Rod was crazy good.
Right.
He's not, to me, I don't think he's very good anymore. I don't like him, so it's kind of biased there, but
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be very big, and I don't think the Yankees are going to be good at all.
Okay.
I just don't see that happening.
All right, Caitlin, back to you.
So as you know, March is just around the corner, and that means March Madness, getting close to filling out those brackets. Right now, Kentucky is ranked at number 1. Recently, they held off LSU to remain unbeaten this season. We also have Gonzaga, who hasn't won by less than double digits in the past month. And of course, we have Duke, ranked pretty high in the power rankings, but we saw that they recently lost to Notre Dame and Miami. Guys, what do you think about the NCAA basketball this year compared to last year, and who is your pre-March Madness favorite?
Oh, I see Kentucky going all the way again.
You do?
Yes, definitely. I see Kentucky
man.
going all the way. They're unbeaten right now. They haven't lost a single game. I mean, that's impressive to me.
Yeah, extremely impressive, not going to lie. But this is their second straight game. Last night was their second straight game where they almost lost it.
You're right.
LSU last night, 71-69. They were down 69-68 with a minute 30 left to go. I thought, honestly, LSU was going to upset them. I thought that was going to be a crazy game, and that's what ESPN is going to talk about all today. But Kentucky pulled it off. So the game before that, Florida, they only beat 68-61, and this is to a Florida team that isn't that good. Like 2 years ago, Florida's pretty decent. Last year, Florida's even pretty decent, but they're winning games barely by teams that they should be killing. I mean, LSU shouldn't even been a game. Kentucky will eventually lose. I honestly think. I mean, I just don't see them being undefeated when it's all said and done.
Who do you think will beat them, though? Who do you see beating them?
The rest of the regular season,
Gonzaga, maybe.
They got South Carolina, they got Tennessee, they got Auburn, they got Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Georgia. The regular season, I think they're going to win out. Maybe lose to Arkansas because I mean but they're not. They're home against Arkansas, so I don't know. But I think they'll win out, but they're going to lose in the tournament. I just don't know when. That's the thing. But I just don't think Kentucky will go all the way. Some teams that I like: Virginia, 21-1.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
Doing very well. The only thing there is Justin Anderson. I think is averaging around 13, 14 points a game. He's going to be out the next 4-6 weeks. Hopefully they can get him back for the tournament. But I don't know. But Virginia is a team, like just like the Hawks are. Virginia is a team. No player really sticks out in my mind when I think of Virginia. Be like, dang, that guy's the team right there.
Right.
I mean, they are just a team.
They're dynamic. They work together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gonzaga, you mentioned Gonzaga is 24-1, having another great year. The thing is, they don't play anybody. They just don't.
Yeah.
The only team that they played was Arizona, who's ranked 7 right now. Was ranked third, I believe, when they played Arizona, but they lost in overtime, 66-63. Heck of a game, but they lost. That's the only team really. They played one other ranked team, and they won. But that team was ranked 22. I don't remember exactly what team it was. But Gonzaga, year in and year out, do not play anybody. I hate Gonzaga. Not personally, but I just hate when people say Gonzaga is really good.
Well, I think they're a little talked about too much, and they haven't lost. They haven't won by less than double points in the past month. Yeah, that's a pretty good stat. That's a pretty good thing to say. But like you said, who are they playing?
Exactly.
They're going to beat teams by double every single game because of who they're playing.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Kentucky should beat LSU by double digits. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The thing with basketball is you never know what's going to happen. So Gonzaga being 24-1, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a great that they're going to go all the way because they're having such a good year, because anything can happen, especially in March. You see upset after upset in March. Right. Nobody can have a perfect bracket, it seems like, because there's always that big team that goes down that nobody expects to go down.
Right, that big upset. There's always the big upset.
Which I think this year's going to be Kentucky. But the teams that I'm going to look for there's 3 teams that I'm looking for this year in March Madness for now. It'll probably change these next couple weeks before. But Duke. I know Duke's been very shaky.
Lost to Notre Dame.
They lost to Notre Dame, but they beat Virginia.
Right.
I mean, Jaleel Okafor is an amazing freshman, but the players aren't really the reason why I like Duke so much. It's Coach K. Everybody loves Coach K because he's a great coach. When it's all said and done, he's going to be the best coach of all time. I mean, you think of a coach, you think of Coach K in NCAA basketball and basketball in general. So I think that's why Duke always has a chance. The thing is, though, Duke really, these past couple years hasn't been good in the tournament, so I think they're due for a good tournament run this year. Second team, I think, is Arizona. I just like Arizona for some reason. I don't know. I just like watching them play. I just think they're good. They got a couple freshmen that have been playing very well this year, and I just think that they're going to have a good run. But the third team, and I'm going to make this a third and fourth team, Butler and VCU. Mm-hmm. I love Butler and VCU. VCU especially. Shaka Smart. I love Shaka Smart. He's going to be a great coach, I think, when it's all said and done as well. But Butler and VCU, again, much like Virginia, they don't have those guys that are just going to fill up the stat sheet and everything. They're teams. They're great teams. They have a couple guys that are going to obviously lead the team, scoring 15, 16 points. But VCU and Butler just play hard. They play scrappy and they get after it. So I think that's why Butler and VCU are going to be pretty dominant. Not dominant, but they're poised for a good run, just like Arizona is in this March Madness. So those are my 4 teams that I'm looking for.
Okay. Caitlin?
Well, there are a few discussions going on in the NFL, and the biggest right now is Marshawn Lynch considering retirement. Also, I want to discuss who in the NFL must have a good offseason. Guys?
Okay, so we discussed this about the retirement.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
I do too.
Marshawn's not going to retire. He's
No.
coming off one of his best years, rushing for 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns, or 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, something like that.
I mean,
But
he just went to the Super Bowl. Like,
He's
come on.
yeah. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl. He's not retiring. It's media. It's the media. It's what the media does.
Right.
But the Seahawks GM, did come out and say that they're not sure if Marshawn loves football anymore. Blah blah blah, stuff like that. Marshawn Lynch is going to be around next year. 95% sure. I mean, there's a 5% chance that he might not want to play. You never know. But he will be around next year as soon as he gets a contract from whatever team that he decides to go with. But as far as the offseason musts for teams, the two teams come to mind. Again, I know people at home are probably going to be annoyed, but Cleveland Browns. This isn't from a fan standpoint. This is from like an actual, if you step back and look at it, Cleveland Browns are in some turmoil right now.
Right.
Ray Farmer, the owner, Jimmy Haslam, has came out and said that Ray Farmer did send those illegal texts down to the sideline this past season, but he's not going to fire Ray Farmer. So the Browns are in a dire need of just some positivity, not just for the organization, but for the fans as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gordon's suspended a year. Gordon's probably not going to play another down as a Cleveland Brown. Manziel checked himself into
Rehab.
rehab.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a good sign that he's working for progress. But just if he's, again, like, what else can go wrong for the Browns? So they need to make moves big time. I don't know if that's getting a quarterback in the draft, trying to trade up for Mariota or something, but they need a receiver now. They need a quarterback. And for an offense that is just awful, it's hard to watch, it sucks having having Gordon, your best receiver, go down, and then the guy that's supposed to be the quarterback for your team go down as well. But the team that I think needs the biggest offseason, needs to make a splash, is the Philadelphia Eagles. In 2011, they made some moves. They were the dream team. Vince Young called them the dream team. They had Mike Vick. They had everybody. Even me, I was like, wow, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be good. They made the playoffs once in 2013. Since 2010, they made it as well. But 2013, they made it once as a wild card and lost to the New Orleans Saints. Kelly has been rumored that he wants to go back to college, so they could lose their head coach. The time is now. I don't know if that is drafting Mariota. I don't know if that's moving down in the draft, just getting players, signing a big name. But they can't win games with Sanchez at quarterback, and I don't think Foles is a good quarterback, to be honest. Time is now for the Eagles, and they are the team that needs the biggest offseason, in my opinion.
Well, one team that I looked at that I think that's probably going to do pretty well in the offseason is the Jets. And the reason why I have the Jets is because they're getting the Arizona Cardinals' new defensive coordinator is now coming to the Jets as the head coach. We also seen significant changes, but the big question is, will Geno Smith be able to take the Jets where they need to go, considering he was pretty inconsistent recently?
I like Geno Smith coming into the NFL. He had a great collegiate career, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's him as a player. I don't know if it's the coaching staff that he had. Rex Ryan is not a good head coach. I mean, and everybody knows it. You can't argue with me on that. Everybody knows that he's not. He's a better coordinator.
Right.
So maybe getting rid of him is the key. I don't know. But they need to do something in New York. That's a great pick for your team for a must to have a must big off season. I can't even talk today. But yeah, the Jets need to do something. I don't know where to start with the Jets. They're awful. I mean, the Jets are bad.
I mean, we just saw Geno Smith. He was just so inconsistent. And then in order for them to get somewhere, I feel like Geno Smith really has to step his game up.
And they need to do. I don't know what they need to do.
Something
to be honest.
with coaching. I mean, they got that new coach. The Arizona Cardinals defensive coordinator came in.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a new era for them. Maybe this is going to create some significant changes for the Jets. But Geno Smith has to make some improvements too.
I mean, if not Geno Smith, you got to draft somebody. You got to get a quarterback.
Right.
You got to get something. That team is atrocious. That team is just bad.
Yep. Kaylin?
So going off of that, your Clemson Tigers took on Notre Dame last night with a head-to-head battle against the Fighting Irish until the buzzer that ended in the heartbreaking loss for the Tigers. Everything was tied at 56 with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second half, but Notre Dame was able to push push it to the 60-56 lead with under a minute and a half left to go. Rod Hall was able to close the distance as he drove the lane for 2 points that made the score 60-58. With the final seconds running off the clock, Harrison was able to unload a three in the last few seconds, but it rimmed out. Blossom Game also led the Tigers in scoring with 17 points and 14 boards. Guys, what do you think about the game last night against the Fighting Irish? Is the season over for the Tigers?
Oh, what a heartbreak last night. It was truly a heartbreak. The Tigers played so well. It was a head-to-head battle most of the game, I would have to say. Just amazing. I saw some amazing performance from the Tigers. Some rebounds.
Yeah, I think at one point we had 36 to 16 rebounds.
Yes.
To Notre Dame 16 rebounds. That's crazy. You know, if you guys watch the show, the last 2 weeks I haven't been very nice to the Tigers basketball program. But last night they really did prove me wrong. They played well, but they just couldn't come. They just couldn't come through. But the thing that I want to talk about is the Miami game as well.
Okay, yeah.
Now, the Clemson Tigers weren't mathematically out of going to the tournament going into Miami. They lost to Miami 56-45, and they just didn't play well. I thought they could have. They were up in the first half, and then the second half, Miami just went on a run,
right.
And the Tigers really never answered back. It's over for the Tigers for the tournament. I mean, I thought it was over a couple weeks ago. But if they could have beat Miami and if they could have knocked off Notre Dame, that could have been big, but they couldn't do either. And it sucks because how well we played last night. I mean, there's just a few moments in the game where you look back to now that everything's settled down, and you think, dang, if we didn't turn the ball over there, or if we would have hit that shot.
Gerard Blossom game had an excellent game.
Like
he played excellent.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Amazing.
the guy. He's the guy that we've been talking about the last couple weeks, saying how inconsistent he's been doing. But these last couple games, Blossom game had 17 points. I mean, Miami he wasn't really a force. He only had 6 points against Miami. But 17 points, 14 rebounds in Notre Dame, and that last second shot.
Yeah.
I thought that was in for
I
a
did
second.
too. I was like, my
but
heart just like, I was like.
He short-armed it. I don't know if that was nerves. I mean, there's not many times that I've seen Blossom game take the last second shot. I think that was the first time that he had the last second, not the last second, but just a clutch shot in general. He just didn't hit it. I think he's going to learn from that. I think he's going to be a huge player next year. I'm looking right now that Clemson might have a decent team next year. I mean, yeah, we're going to be losing Rod Hall and DeMarcus Harrison, but I honestly don't think that those two really made a huge difference. Last night, DeMarcus Harrison was huge. Again, he's another player that I was high on coming into the season, and I trashed him a couple weeks ago. He just didn't play well this season, but last night he really proved me wrong. He had, I think, 15 points. What was he? 3 for 5 from downtown. Obviously, the one that one of the two that he missed was a huge one. But yeah, it's over for the Tigers. I think it was over a couple weeks ago, but they could have really started it back up with getting wins these last 2 games.
I saw a lot of improvements in the free throws. As I mentioned last time, they've really stepped up their free throw games. Their percentage has gone up, and I think that really helped them last night too. But
yeah,
it's sad to lose whenever you play that well. It's a head-to-head battle. I mean, you're playing Notre Dame. Notre Dame just beat Duke. You know, you're going into playing a really dynamic team. But you can't get there.
Yeah, I mean that it sucks. The free throws were huge this season for the Tigers. I mean, as you know, we're just not a very good free throw shooting team. Last night we did go 5 for 5, but the thing that would concern me this time wasn't necessarily the percentage, but it was when we shot our first free throw. We shot our first free throw halfway through the second half. Miami, we shot 1 free throw, and that was in the second half. 1 free throw. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. We need to get to the line more somehow. Those are easy points, should be easy points. They weren't easy points for the Tigers this year. But next year, you really got to look not only making free throws, but you got to get to the line first.
Yeah, I agree.
mean, only getting to the line one time
I think
in
driving
Miami.
it more. I feel like they should.
They settle for threes.
Yeah, I think they should drive it more. Draw the fouls, and put up the points. I mean, that's 2 free shots.
Those are 2 free throws. I mean,
go for it.
You're 100% right. We need to capitalize on that stuff. We can't be settling for threes the rest of this year and even next year, especially because we're not that good of a three-point shooting team.
Right.
But definitely, Tigers are out of it, unfortunately. I was really hoping for them to have a big year, but we miss KJ. I mean, what can I say? We miss KJ, but next year, hopefully, we can find a way. So.
All right, back to you, Caitlin.
Well, that's all I
we
have.
A caller.
Oh,
We got another call.
Yeah, we have another caller.
You there?
Hey, you guys there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just getting back to that Notre Dame Duke game.
Mhm.
They actually got blown out by Duke recently.
Well, thank you.
They beat them earlier in the season, but what do you think about Notre Dame going forward?
Notre Dame going forward. That's a great question. If you want to stay on the line, we can talk. Is he still on the line? Do you know if he's still on the line? All right, that's fine.
I thought Notre Dame Duke lost. to
No,
Notre Dame.
no, they did early in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Notre Dame, to answer the guy's question, Notre Dame, I'm not really high on Notre Dame, to be honest. Even last night, I thought Clemson had a great chance of beating them, which we did. Obviously, we showed we did. Grant is a great player for Notre Dame. He's unreal. I mean, he had huge clutch shots going down to the wire for Notre Dame, but I just don't think that they're a good team, to be honest. Too inconsistent for me. I mean, but then again, who knows? You know, I'm just a college student. You know, I don't think Notre Dame is going to be a force in the tournament. I just don't think so. Although they have potential. You know, when they play well, they're really good. I mean, we saw times last night that just the way they move the ball is ridiculous. They can just flat out move it. They're a great team, but they're just too inconsistent for my liking, and I'm not high on them.
I don't think they did really well rebounding, but
Yeah.
thanks for calling in. All right, back to you, Caitlin.
all right. Well, that's all I have for your sports this week. Tune in next Wednesday night at 8. And don't forget to call in to get into our debate about sports. Until next time, Clemson.